Hi guys, and welcome to my final wrap-up video for the month of February. So I saw very last minute, actually I think it was a couple of days into February, a readathon that I wanted to try to participate in as much as I can as far as like fulfilling the prompts, and that is the Sims Readathon. I found this one on, I believe it was Twitter, and I'm not on Twitter very much. The Twitter handle I use mostly for looking up readathons that are primarily on Twitter, so, and finding out about those, and that's pretty much it. I hardly ever tweet or anything like that. It's just, I've tried, it's just not my thing. I am much more partial to Instagram, so anyway, so it was a Sims Readathon. There are 8 prompts, individual prompts, and then there's 4 team prompts, 1 prompt per team. The teams are Goth, Pleasant, Calente, and Cap. So let's just go ahead and dive right on in, and we'll do the team ones for last. So prompt number 1 is university. So this is to read a book that has a school setting or a mentor and a mentee relationship. For this one, I went with Dork Diaries number 3. This is 3, right? Yes. Tales from a Not-So-Talented Pop Star. This one we are following Nikki as she lives her junior high life. She has this gal that's like an enemy who will do what she can to make Nikki's life more miserable. Nikki has best friends, she's got a crush on a guy, and you're just following her life. It's a contemporary setting set in junior high, and it is just fun, and it's very quick. It's told in journal entry, so the writing is fairly large, plus you have pages that are just full of drawings that the character does. So it is very sweet. I love this series. I am having a blast. I have the next 2, so I have through book 5, right? Let's see, 3. Yes, and I think there's 9 or 10 out. I don't know, but I will be collecting this whole series. This is just fun. Very quick read, very nostalgic because it makes me think of my experiences in junior high. Granted, they weren't the same, obviously, as Nikki is having in this, but junior high for me was much better than high school. I'm just going to leave it at that. And part of it was because I went to the same, my mom is she's retired now, but she was a school counselor. She worked at a junior high, then a high school, and then went back to a junior high. And the junior high that she worked at is the one that I went to. And so people found out fairly quickly that I was the daughter of one of the school counselors, and so they knew not to pick on me and ignore me and to be nice to me because they didn't want to get in trouble with the counselor at the school. So, and my mom wasn't mean or anything like that. People love her, and so I think it was just kind of a nervous thing for a lot of people until they got to know me and got to know the counselor. So anyway, I enjoyed junior high a lot more than high school. A lot more. High school sucked. I hated high school. So yeah, Dork Diaries, I gave this one 4 stars. Absolutely loving this series. Can't wait to continue on. Love it. Okay, this next prompt is nightlife, and this is to read a book in a city setting. For this one, I have a library book I'm going to be returning soon, and that is An Observant Wife by Naomi Ragen. This takes place in, I want to say Brooklyn. It's in New York. Let me see if it tells me. From the wedding, surrounded by supportive friends and family, yeshiva, religious law, I don't remember. But a lot of it takes place in a city, and I want to say it's Brooklyn, and it's in like a Jewish area of Brooklyn where like the majority of the residents in that particular city are Jewish. So this lady depicted on the cover is a convert to Judaism. She's moved from California to this area, and she's trying to abide by Jewish religious teachings and religious law and philosophy and all of that. And she's marrying a man whose wife died, and she's dealing with the fallout that the kids have to deal because there were kids involved so she becomes a stepmom. And there's, you know, obviously people stray from, you know, I don't really want to say stray, but it's like they go against what they have been taught in religion. A lot of people do. They test that boundary, they rebel, whatever the case is, and some people leave and some people don't. They just kind of test the waters to try to find themselves. And you do see a teenager test the waters. And then there's, within this city, in this setting, at one point they go to a different setting, to a different city where there's still a very majority Jewish community, and you see the difference. So the main city that they're in right now is ruled by not so great people, and there's a lot of hidden rules, like for when to keep your mouth shut type of a thing. And there's a lot of backlash, like people get hurt, there's vandalism. I will say, major warning. So it's, yes, city setting. You see a lot of it in the city, from going from home to school for the teenager, home to work, and stopping at acquaintances and friends' houses and stuff. So there's a lot in the city. You have going into this. I absolutely loved. I'm going to say this first. I absolutely loved Naomi's writing. I actually purchased a book, a different one. I will get this one at some point, my own copy of this. But I absolutely loved Naomi's writing. And I just fell in love with the writing. I bought a different book by Naomi Ragen, and I look forward to getting to that. But there are triggers in this book for suicide, for mental health issues like depression. There's sexual assault, as far as, or attempted sexual assault, and it is alluded to that it actually happened from an adult male to minor children, like girls. Like, I think the youngest is like 12 to 14, somewhere around there. Actual physical assault, and things like that. So people gossiping and spreading rumors, which that's going to be in any group. It's not, you know, strictly with Judaism or any religion. It will go with anyone. It's not to just one religion, if that makes sense. I loved it. I ended up giving this a 5 stars, and I think if I like the book that I got from this author that I have somewhere on my shelves, if I like the writing just as much as this one, Naomi will become a auto-buy author. I did look at a lot of the other works from Naomi, and it looks like they're all steeped in Judaism, religious history and culture and terminology. And that's one thing I love. There's a lot of Jewish terminology in this, which I have no idea how to say a lot of them. Like, I mean, I hear the term Mazel Tov. I think that was in here quite a bit. I'm trying to find some more words. Deliria. I don't know. I'm sure I said that wrong. But I liked seeing these words, and I listened to it on audiobook as well, and that was really cool to actually hear how the words are pronounced. Do I remember how to pronounce them? Absolutely not, but I loved it. Oy vey was on here. I've heard that quite a bit. Fruma. Hashem, I think that's a name though. Anyway, I just highly recommend this, and yeah, so I love this, and I love how resilient someone is, and I love the perspective of what it's like for someone who grew up outside of a particular religion and then to try to come in as a convert, and how they are accepted by some, and sometimes they're kind of shunned by others because they don't fully didn't grow up in the religion. And you have that, I think, with any religion. If someone converts to Catholicism or Hinduism or whatever religionism you want to say, you're going to have people that welcome them with open arms and will do what they can and befriend them. But then you also have groups of people that are not going to be so nice. And I liked seeing that aspect because it is very much a reality. So very, very, very much enjoyed that. And I also liked there's the aspect of when someone doesn't keep their mouth shut and there are people that are involved that are not good, like almost mafia-esque, but not mafia, but similar vibes. How the fallout and repercussions and consequences for you trying to do the right thing, you can still suffer the consequences because they don't want you to do the right thing, because they want to keep getting away with that illicit, illegal activity they were doing. So I enjoyed that. 5 stars. Absolutely love the writing. And I'm thinking Naomi's going to be an auto by author, but we'll see after I read another book by Naomi. Okay. Prompt number 3 is open for business. The main character has a job you want or have. This one I went with an ebook. And this is book number 1 in the True Colors series. You can read these in any order. The book that I read was The White City by Grace Hitchcock. And this one you're following Winifred. She goes by Winnie. She's an avid reader, loves to read. There's these particular romance mystery books that she absolutely loves and devours, and they're very popular. This particular author is very popular. And Winnie, this is in the time where H. Holmes was very prevalent in Chicago and would murder a bunch of women at his hotel. It wasn't really a hotel, but he, would murder these women, and Winifred thinks she witnesses him kidnap a woman at gunpoint, and she tries to get her dad, so Winifred's dad, she is a police inspector, or the chief of police, she tries to get him to investigate, and he's like, no, I can't go off of just something that you think you saw, which is probably from your imagination from reading those books. So, but eventually, with enough persistence and convincing, he does give her permission to become a part-time secretary as long as she has a guard, which turns out to be one of the newer police officers in the city. He just kind of stands guard outside of the building, kind of undercover. And then there's a little romance between them. What I liked about this for the main character is the job that she got was secretary, and I like filing. I like transposing stuff from like written form into the computers, like data entry. So secretarial work, I've always liked that. So I wouldn't mind having a job where I'm a secretary, just where I don't have to deal with the public, and mean people. But yeah, and the fact that she goes undercover, even though she's not a member of the law enforcement team, she does go undercover to help with an investigation. I have always wanted to be, not always, but for a good part of my life when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I wanted to go into some field in law enforcement, and I just do not have the personality for that. There's no way I can handle the stuff that they deal with. So that's how I considered that. And I gave that one 3 stars. It was a shorter read. I want to say it was around 260 pages. I do feel like the romance could have been expanded on it a little bit, as well as the being undercover. I felt like there could be a little bit more expansion on that. So I felt like the book could have been a little bit longer, so that's why it's only 3 stars. I felt like it was just a little lacking, but overall it was a pretty solid, well-written book. Next up is pets, and this is to read a book that features an animal or your pet picks. Well, Ophelia is not going to pick a book, and for those of you who are new, Ophelia is my cat, and she is a black cat. So I just went featuring an animal, and for this one I went with a mythical animal. I went with book number 10 in the Phoebe and Her Unicorn series. This one is The Unicorn Whisperer. Now Phoebe is in 4th or 5th grade, I can never remember, but she doesn't change. She's in the same grade, book after book after book. So Phoebe is best friends with the unicorn, who is Marigold. So that's the creature. There is no underlying plot, or that's the animal. She's a creature too. But there is no underlying plot. You're just following them as they go on adventures. In one book, they went bowling for like 2 or 3 pages. Sometimes for, about 10 pages, they go to a summer camp. And then, sometimes they go and do something at school, or they just go on little nature walks and things like that. So you're just following their bond, basically. But there's no underlying plot. In this one, there's a part where they go to the movies. And I do like the artwork. They hang out in a treehouse in one. So there's no underlying plot. It's all just just little mini adventures. So, but it's fun. It's a quick, easy read. Definitely something that you can get through really quickly in a readathon, and I enjoy it. It's a good time. Next up, prompt number 5 is seasons. This is to read your favorite season, whether it's the title, the setting, the colors, etc. You find a way for that book to fit your favorite season. My favorite season is fall. Spring is a close second, but fall is my favorite. And this gives very much fall vibes to me because of all the reds. Yeah. So I'm going with that one. And this particular book, which is A Tangle of Spells by Michelle Harrison, is steeped in witchcraft. And for me, a lot of witchcraft I associate with Halloween and the fall. So double hitter for me on that one as well. So this one we're following the Witterson sisters, as there's just this kind of adventure that opens up, and in this particular town there's talk of witchcraft, there's talk of how people do odd things and then they're associated with a witch. People don't talk about witches, but yet they talk about certain actions, and things are just not right. But then people that think that things aren't right start to lose their memory with certain things. There's just odd things going on, and so you're following as the Witterson sisters as they are trying to figure out what exactly is going on to save those that they care about and go from there. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. This is the 3rd book in the A Pinch of Magic series, and this one's my favorite so far. There is a 4th one that I have ordered and have received. I don't know if there's going to be more past that, but if there are, I will be buying them because I love this series. So, and I gave this one 4 stars, right? No, I gave this one 5 stars. That's right. This is like I think the other ones I gave 4 stars. This one was a 5-star just because of just all of the magic in here. I absolutely loved it. So there's that one. Next prompt number 6 is Bon Voyage. So this is something featuring a journey or a trip. This one I went with an ebook called Rolling in the Deep. This was 85 pages on my Kindle. So this was an ebook that I read, written by Mira Grant. For those of you who don't know, and I've said this in a couple of wrap-ups, but Mira Grant is a pen name for Shannon McGuire. I tried reading the Wayward Children series. I read just the first one. I completed the first book, but I did not care for it. I think I gave it like a 2-star, maybe a 1-star. Just was not my thing. Don't know if I'll continue on unless I get a very specific prompt to give a series a second chance, or an author a second chance. Even though I like what Shannon McGuire has written under the pen name of Mira Grant, I've only read one thing written under Shannon McGuire, if that makes sense, and that I did not like. But under Mira Grant, I absolutely loved the Newsflesh series, but we're talking about a book right now that features a journey or a trip. So Rolling in the Deep is a prequel, a short novella, short story, before a book that looks like is a standalone. And I think this standalone is Into the Drowning Deep or something like that. But Rolling in the Deep, you're going on a ship with these actresses, is all I'm going to say there, and the captain of the ship as well as the crew of the ship, and then there is a cameraman, at least 1 or 2, and a couple other people with a place that's trying, like Imagination to something, but they are trying to do a documentary to try to figure out if mermaids are in fact real. And so they get on this boat and they journey out into the ocean, and it takes place on the boat in the ocean, and they're just journeying across the water trying to find out if, and you have a bunch of scientists, and so they're testing the water and things like that to see if mermaids are real. So, and it gets very dark. It does get gory as far as bloodshed goes, so please be aware of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Was not expecting things to be depicted in a certain way, and I just loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It's definitely, I think that the length was perfect. I think it got a 4-star just because there was no attachment to the characters, but in a short story like that, it's very hard to get that attachment to the characters and stuff, but thoroughly entertaining. Loved it. Okay. Moving on, prompt number 7 is free time. The main character has a hobby excluding reading, so it has to be like knitting, cross-stitching, coloring, drawing, something else, some kind of a hobby. I did not find a book to fit that prompt. So the 8th prompt was Apartment Life. This is to read a novella or a book that is less than 300 pages, which Rolling in the Deep could have counted for that, but I also don't know what books I have that would have qualified as a journey or a trip until I read the book. So I stuck Rolling in the Deep with the Bon Voyage one, and nothing for Apartment Life. I just didn't have time. So basically. Next up, we are now into the prompts specifically for a team. So you could have selected a team, but because I didn't find these until shortly into February, I did not pick a team. So there's 4 teams. So team number 1 team was Team Goth, and that is to read a book featuring an alien or a non-human character or a missing character. I did not do that one. The second team is Team Pleasant, and this is to feature siblings or to reread a childhood favorite. I did not have time to get to that one. Now these next 2 I did do, and these are the last 2 team prompts. So next one is Caliente, I think is how you say it, and this is to read a book that has a fire word in the title or a red cover, and I went with a red cover. Now this is a library copy, so it has the protective sleeve on it, so it's going to be very reflective, but I read Diamond and Dawn by Lyra Selene. I gave this one 4 stars. This is the second book in a duology, and it's the Amber and Dusk series. Amber and Dusk is also the name of the first book, and I gave that one 2 stars. This one was a lot better. There was much more action in this. You're following the main character, I can't even remember her name, Mirage, as they try, and this group of people, as they try to take control over the throne, so to better the kingdom. A lot more action in this book, and it was much more enjoyable, but I can't really say much because I gave the first one 2 stars, and I don't want to spoil this particular book. And I don't really remember everything that happened in the first one. It was very forgettable for me and not particularly enjoyable. Not my taste. Next one is Team Cap, which is like the Cap family in The Sims, and this is to read a book featuring forbidden love or a battle between 2 families and kingdoms. So this one I put in Royal Assassin because there is a forbidden love. You have people of the royal family who specifically forbid one person from courting and dating and falling in love with a particular person due to a station difference, and it potentially causing more harm than good within the family. So yeah, and this is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. This was written by Robin Hobb. So Fitz is the main character that you're following. He is the bastard son of King in Waiting Chivalry. So Prince Chivalry, and when Chivalry finds out about Fitz, Chivalry abdicates the throne and leaves, and so then one of Chivalry's brothers becomes the next king in waiting. And you're just following Fitz as he grows up. In the first book, the king takes special interest in Fitz because he is the bastard. The bastard son, he's not fully considered royalty, but at the same time he can integrate and mingle amongst the royals because he does have that royal blood. But yet he can also go and mingle amongst the commoners and be accepted amongst them because he's not full royal. So he can find out a lot of secrets and that he needs to do to try to protect the royal family and assassinate whoever needs to be assassinated, type of a thing. High epic fantasy. I thoroughly enjoyed that one, gave that one 4 stars. So that's it for my wrap up for The Sims Readathon. Let me know if you participated, and if you did, what your favorite read was and what team you were on. I didn't officially say that I was going to do this. This was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. But I liked the prompts, so I will keep an eye out for the next time they do a round and try to be more committed to it. So that's it for this wrap up. Talk to me in the comment section below, and until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.